So I'm back. I just spent 5 days off, which technically they weren't days off. I was teaching a high school drumline, and I am now back and realized when I got back that the Typography t-shirts video was doing really, really well. You guys super enjoyed that, and we're gonna do a round two. We're gonna do a round two of that. And what would you know? What do you know? I come back to the office and I sit down and Drew's like, man, you gotta make videos. And I was like, okay, I want to go get a coffee first. And can I go get a coffee first? He's like, no, you got to make videos. So now I'm here making a video. So what we're going to do is I have 8 references from Pinterest, similar to the last video. And then I went and asked ChatGPT to give me some niches, specifically kind of like Etsy niches if you were gonna go sell something on Etsy, just topics, things that people are into. So like eco-friendly, pet lovers, yoga and wellness, vintage and retro styles, book lovers, geek and gamer fashion, travel and adventure gear, and fitness and gym apparel. So we're gonna do these 8 different niches for these 8 different designs. I referenced this in the previous video, and if you haven't seen that one, you can watch that up in the cards here, that I am all for, specifically for the purposes of learning how fonts go together and learning how to design and do type layouts. I am all for copying some designs that you see, whether that be on like Pinterest or Behance or Dribbble, any of these sites that you go to get some like inspiration to influence your own designs and your own work, to learn how to be a better designer. I'm all for copying some of that work to practice, but only to practice. And so what I did in the previous video is I kind of broke down and used an analogy of music to figure out what is copying and then what is influence. And so a lot of typography related designs are kind of just layouts, and a lot of them use the same fonts. I'll scroll through Pinterest and I'll see 17 different shirts, different layouts, but all of them use some of the similar fonts. So there's elements that piece together to make things unique, but they're using a lot of the same structure and a lot of the same fonts. So I made this little music analogy that I said that the layout of a typography design is kind of like the chords of a song. So a lot of the most popular songs are made up of the same 4 chords. There's only 7 chords in a key, or at least 7 traditional chords in a key. You can go outside of that, but most of them use the same 4 chords, or maybe even the same only 3 chords. And you can't just say to somebody else that wrote a song using those chords, you've copied my song, because there's only like 4 chords that people use for these songs in that key. You can't just say because it's the same progression that you stole the song. Similarly, you can't just say because you use a similar layout that you stole the design. And then a step up from that is like fonts and colors. So we've used the layout, and you're using the same fonts and color or similar font and color structure. That's kind of like you're taking influence from the tempo or the instrumentation of the music. It's a similar tempo, it's upbeat or it's slow. It's the same instrumentation, like heavy electric guitars or heavy keys, or very synthetic and laid back. So you're taking influence from the instrumentation, the tempo, or you're taking influence from the fonts and the colors of the design. So you're getting a step closer to replication, but we're still not full on copying. And then, and only then, I feel like we are getting into the scary realm of copying if we are copying the literal verbiage or the illustrations that are used on the shirt. That's like taking the melody, the notes that are sung, or the lyrics of a song and just copying them one for one. And so that is kind of the analogy that I put together to draw a similarity between like drawing influence from designs into your own work versus actually copying. And a lot of you found that comparison really helpful, which I'm super glad. But let's get into these next designs. So our first niche is eco-friendly fashion. I'm going to interpret that as just like people who love the environment. So I've got this shirt here. This is a really nice product photo, and it looks like we're just using 2 fonts. If we spun this around, looks like a more rounded serif font, which we definitely have a bunch of those. This is good that it's this niche, because that kind of font is used a lot in that eco-friendly stuff. And then it looks like just a very clean sans serif font with some blocky structure letters, to where like, you know, each letter kind of occupies the same space of a square. So you don't have that weird, like each letter is taking up the same, a different amount of horizontal space, which kind of creates a weird optical imbalance for the eye. This one's very squared off. So we're gonna look for some fonts that go well with this. And we're gonna go over to the serif category. And if at any time you wanna know what font I'm using, you can look at this box right here. I got a lot of comments on the last video that was like, bro, you gotta tell us what font you're using. I will try to make it a point to say I am using the X whatever font, but if at any point you wanna know what font I'm using, there's this box right here that has the name of the font in it. So you could just look at that as well, if I forget to mention it, which I often probably will. So we're gonna go to the serif category, and we're just looking for something that's kind of natural. This one looks nice. We try something like this. It doesn't look like the spacing is super tight, but it's also not as spread out as this, so we're gonna close that a bit. Maybe something like -30. And we're just gonna say something like, this is title case, saving the planet. And if you wanna know how to adjust your text boxes like this and not have them go out like that, you're gonna hold Option and then adjust the text boxes so it's gonna size out from the center. It could save you some time, maybe not with the one application, but if you do that over the course of many text boxes, or you have it placed where you want and you just wanna be able to do this in the center, it's super helpful. And I'm gonna close this line height some, 0, maybe -10. Same thing with sizing. You can size it in towards the center if you hold Option on the keyboard and then size it. And we're gonna do something like that. I'm gonna hit T to add another text box. And then I'm going to look for a sans serif font that I feel like will match this really, really well. I'm gonna use this Manrope font and say something like, we only have one. And sometimes you just have to actually type out your text to tell that you don't really love that font. And I also know that I want the text to be more stacked like this, so that we have short line of text, then long line of text, and then our smaller text underneath. Maybe make that a little smaller. And I'm going to look for one that, see, if I zoom in, you can tell that the horizontal space of the E or maybe the A is shorter than the space of like the H or the O. And so I want it to really be as uniform as possible. So something like Archivo looks close, but it also looks kind of techie to me, and that's not really the vibe that I'm going for. Montserrat might actually be pretty close. So I'm gonna up the, oh, definitely not that. And then we need to close the line spacing. I think I'm content with that. It's definitely not 1 for 1, like, you know, we were talking about, but that's okay. It's just, I would rather it fit the vibe of the niche and the shirt than be 1 for 1 the same font. So this was just a Varia serif something, and then Montserrat, which is kind of like a designer's favorite star choice player for design for some reason. I mean, I like it. I like Montserrat. I don't have a problem with Montserrat. Okay, on to the next one. And I kind of like before have kind of ranked these from like easy to a little more difficult. None of them are hard. I mean, this one's pretty complex. So we're gonna save that one for last, but on to the second one. It looks like we just have a nice clean serif font, very 90s, and then a little script underneath. And our niche is pet lovers. And I'm going to click on my artboard and hit T for some text, go to the serif category, and then I'm gonna do some digging to see what matches this best. Instrument serif is close, and I do love that font. If we can't find something else that's closer, that'll be a good backup. Oh, this is a cool font. I do like this old standard TT font. I do like Playfair as well, but this has a little bit more of a curved nature, I think. I'm gonna try this font. And then if you really want to dial in that 90s vibe, my advice is to close your letter spacing quite a bit. Get those letters nice and close together. pets. And then I'm going to close the line height. Nice and close together, see as well. The letters are kind of nice and close together, and so is the line height. Definitely not one for one. It's a little more rounded on this. If I want to get it closer, what I would do is go to text shading and go to this third option. No offset, and then add slight stroke to it to round off those sharp edges. And I just wonder, I actually really do like that font. It's not the same vibe at all, but it is very, very nice. Even though this is not as close, I think I'm gonna use this font. That's very nice. Do that, and then we have just a little script hit down here. Hit T again, and I'm gonna do something like, they love you. Nice script font. Go through these. I'm not the best at choosing script fonts. I wish I was. It's actually pretty close. So same with this design. This is definitely not one for one the same script, but I really like this. So I'm gonna use this, and I just wanna beef it up a little bit. So I'm gonna do that same effect on this as well. I like that. So I'm gonna select these two, and I can hit group them, and then I can center that up. Super nice. Okay, so it looks like we've got just a very minimalist sans serif type layout here, a little copyright symbol, some years, and our niche is yoga and wellness wear. T, I think Archivo would actually work really well for this. And it seems to be a title case. And then we might just say yoga studio, health and wellness. Was it 4 lines? Healing, souls, and then a year. We could just say 2024, 2025. And then we're gonna close this line height. And then looks like we've got like a copyright symbol. You could do that here as well. Just go to the glyphs right here. You can click glyphs, and then we'll just look for the little copyright icon. There we go. Nice. Center that up. And I probably should have just switched these because this one took more time than this one, but I love it. Looks great. Super simple. No need to really overcomplicate things. If I wanted to, I could maybe make this medium and it might beef it up just a little bit. I like that. Okay, on to the next one. This one's getting a little bit more difficult. So we've got a nice script font. I'll probably use a luxurious script for that. And then maybe Archivo or Familige and Grotesque for this type layout here. This definitely looks like some sort of custom type. That's not a font, I don't think. I think that's like a signature. And then we've got a little condensed serif font. It's very, very blurry, but I can tell that that's like a condensed serif font up there with a little text box underneath, maybe another sans serif text box. So let's get into it. So I'm gonna hit T, look for luxurious script. Okay, so our next niche is vintage and retro styles. Definitely makes me just think 90s. So I'm just gonna say 90s because I like the way that this text is close to this script, and if we have any ligatures or tails that go down like a Y or a G, it's gonna make it really difficult to get that text close to that script. And I'm going to copy and paste this over. Looks like all caps. I never wanted to leave the 90s. Open that up. And let's use, definitely not Roboto. Familige and Grotesque. Nah, that's further away. I'm okay with Archivo, I think. Maybe we'll make this a little bit bigger. Something like that. We can select those two, tidy it up. I'll pull this down. And now we're gonna do our top text box up there. We're just looking for a nice condensed serif font, maybe something like American or English Town. I like English Town. I'll just say 99, because that's the year I was born in. Hope that doesn't date anybody watching this video. And then I'll just say the last of the Good years. Make that nice and tidy right there. Center, group, and then center to the artboard. And something like that is starting to look pretty clean. And then it looks like you could add some sort of like logo or script down there. But I'm going to group this, center that up, and call it done. I do like this shirt right here. Definitely my style. I'm going to copy this text box over. It looks like we have a little bit heavier weight, so I'm gonna go maybe semi-bold or bold, definitely bold. And what is our niche? Book lovers and literary apparel. Definitely not speech apparel, because I can't say things correctly. So I'm gonna say book lovers club, or we could say book club department. And then looks like we got another little glyph here. Copyright 2024. Soon to be 2025, sad. We need to open up our line height here. And then we've got some more text down here. Looks like a different font, very clean, very minimal font. So I'm going to look through a couple different fonts and see what I can find. It's pretty tough sometimes to find a font that you exactly love. I'm definitely looking for a font that has that curved R. It's a very Helvetica-esque font, but I might have to end up kind of submitting that preference a little bit, which is fine because there are a lot of other fonts that are very close. We're just gonna use Montserrat because I think it still has that like squared off feel where all the letters are the same horizontal length. Let's see. We need to up this font weight and this letter spacing. Make that smaller. Definitely gives it that techie feel. Say reads. Can center those guys up. And then I'm gonna copy that same font and just make it a lighter font weight. And close the letter spacing. I do something. I do not need that period. Thank you. Like that. Need to make that a little bit smaller. Then I can select all these guys, center that up, and it looks like I have one more line of text. So I need to look for a good serif font, a little italic serif font. And I think I might just use instrument. Serif, italic, and I like that a lot. Again, I'm gonna close that line, or that letter spacing rather. Give it that nice 90s feel. Select everything, center it up, group it, and then I can center it on my artboard. It looks like this may need to be closer and a little smaller too. Cool, love it, looks great. On to the next. So I've definitely seen this shirt a bunch on Pinterest. I think it's just like an Etsy listing, but I think we can recreate it pretty well with another niche. So let's see, I wanna do the fitness and gym apparel. We're gonna skip ahead and do the fitness and gym one. And I'm going to use luxurious script again. If you want to buy this font right here and upload it, you can. It's called Sloop Script Pro. You can upload your own fonts right here. But I am going to use luxurious script because it gives me a similar vibe. And I'm gonna say fitness culture. Nice serif font, sans serif actually. Let me see if I can get one that's, I know that's too condensed. I need to find another one. Roboto actually might be the move. Yeah, I mean, that looks pretty close to me. Maybe a little more condensed in the reference, but that's okay. I'm gonna close that letter spacing. And then I want to, maybe I need to take this a weight down. Yeah, I like that a little bit better. And then we need another line of text. It looks like just a lighter font weight, italic, lift quick, lift heavy. That's how I like to do my workouts if I go to the gym. I just get in, lift heavy, get out. I don't like to be there for a long time. Let's do medium italic. Need our little quotes. And we might need to space that out a little bit more. like that. So we've got 2 left. I saved these for last. They're definitely the most complex. They're using the most amount of typography, different fonts and elements. And it gets more complicated the more fonts that you try to put together in one layout. And that's why fonts are so tough, is that if you have, it looks like there may be 4 different fonts on this shirt. It's tough to find 4 different fonts that go together. So we're going to do our best with this. So for this script, I am going to use Pinion script for sure. Love Pinion script. It's actually the typeface of the logo of my brand. I just added a little bit of a stroke to it for the logo just to beef it up a little bit. We might do that here as well. And we can put something in here. Kittl design. Kittl design 24. And I actually want to get rid of the spaces. And I like the way that that looks. So I'm gonna add a stroke to that. I just used the 3rd text shading option as I've explained before. Just beefs it up a little bit. And now we need to look for a font, kind of a condensed, clean font. Looks very eerily similar to Babus New. So we're gonna try that. Nice condensed font. The type is kind of spaced out, so we're gonna space that letter spacing, 30 maybe. Let's go up to 50, let's try that. And then I'll just put Berlin, Germany. That actually looks very close. I would not be surprised if that was the same font. That was just a guess. Put that guy right there. Again, you know, we have this case of a ligature from the top line of text swooping down. It looks like they may have added some cutouts around the O and the R to kind of avoid having that conflict and make it unreadable. But let's see what we can do with this here. I'll just put creative user base. And it looks like it needs to be a bit smaller, but just about the same amount spaced out, so we don't need to do anything with that. Kind of like it just barely touching the E there, but I might just eliminate that altogether. That looks good. I can center these up. And then it looks like I've got some more script down here. Make sure I'm not typing in all caps there. And we can size that guy down. And then we've got some iconography here. It looks like maybe 2 letters in script and then some sort of like globe. So I might put KD, and then we can type in globe and find like a wireframe globe like that. Might actually stretch that guy out. Make it smaller. Make that black. And then I can add a basic shape in between here. Very nice. I might make this a tad smaller and that text a tad smaller. Looks great. I like that. So I'm gonna rock with it. Of course, it's not 1 for 1. It's not exactly the same fonts. It's not the same words. It's not the same logos or icons, but we don't want to copy. We just want to draw inspiration. So that is totally fine. All right, the last one, and definitely my favorite. Looks like we've got a nice serif font here. I'm going to use instrument serif. And we'll put something random in here like world class designers. And we're really gonna tighten that letter spacing, give it that 90s feel. Because if I do this and I open that letter spacing up, looks a lot different than that text right there and has a completely different feel. I'm gonna use Pinion script again for this text, but I'm probably going to squish it so that it looks flatter there. Kittl, I'm going to add a transformation, distort, and just pull all these lines up. Actually looks pretty cool. I love that. All right, looks like we have kind of a wide font, like a wide sans serif font. So something like Basement Grotesque might be nice. And it looks a little techy, all caps. And we'll size that down. Copy this guy. Change that letter spacing back to 0. And I also want to distort this as well. Have that kind of same squished look. It's pretty close, good with that. I want to make sure it's roughly the same. Yeah, it looks about the same size. Group those guys and center them, make sure this is centered. I want it to be slightly smaller just because I don't want it to conflict. Because if I make this like the same width, it just looks slightly awkward. So I'm gonna make it smaller so that the hierarchy isn't competing there. Ungroup these guys and I'll say made by. I like to type in all caps apparently today, designers. I like that. It looks like I need to adjust the height of that to more match the others. Something like that looks super close to me. Group those up. I might actually make this left hand justified so that when we group them, the selection doesn't go past that bounding box. And then it looks like they've got some sort of like patch down here. Don't know if you would actually like count that as part of the printed design or not. I actually liked these closer together. But I love that type layout. And so I'm going to center that up. And that is all of the designs. Looks like I missed a globe over here, so I'm just going to boop, place that guy down there. Select all that, line it up, Command G, and then center it. And then I can make sure all of my designs are centered here. And that is all 8 of those designs. Here they are mocked up really quick on some different shirts. I love them, they came out awesome. I hope that you love them too. That is all for today's video. If you found this helpful, drop a comment down below, like this video, and make sure that you are subscribed to the Kittl channel. If you've not tried Kittl yet before, you're here, you've wandered onto YouTube and around YouTube and you found this video and you're like, I don't even know what the heck this is. It's Kittl. You can go try it for free today. Go to kittl.com and sign up for a free trial. And if you're on a free plan and you want to get some of those more beefy features, up your design game, impress your friends and family with your awesome design skills, use the promo code in the description of this video to upgrade. I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.